So we should have something that looks similar to this. So I'm going to play my game. And we have a title on the screen. We have some instructions down in the middle. And then we have our rock, our paper, and our scissors. So great, now we can go ahead and get started. And the next functionality that we want to add is where we can click on the rock and it will let us choose rock, and then we will click on the scissors and it'll let us choose scissors. It will click on the scissors and it'll let us choose scissors, and it'll run the game, where the computer will choose his weapon, and then we'll see who's the winner. So the trick is how do we make it so that when you click, the screen doesn't exit like it does there, right? And how do we make it so that when you click, it knows that we clicked on the rock? So the reason why we click and the screen exit is because we have this function screen exit on click. So that needs to go away. And and in order for us to read where we clicked on the screen, we need to run this function here. Okay, so here we are. In our main function, we've created our screen, our turtles, we've written our titles here, and then we used our functions to draw our rock, paper, and scissors. Now what you need to do is add this function here, screen on, I'm sorry, so you say your screen dot on screen click, and then you put the name of the function that you want to run when you click on the screen. So go ahead and add that. And then what you need to do also is get rid of this exit on click. So let's take that away. And we're going to put in its place is turtle.done. Okay. And so what these two functions are going to let our program do is it's going to let our program click onto the screen, and it's going to keep on repeating that. So our screen is not going to go away after we click on the screen. So what happens when we do click on the screen? Well, it's going to run this function called choose. All right, you can call it whatever you want, but I called mine choose. You might want to do the same. And we're going to need to define it, which is what I did right here, right above the main. I said def choose. And choose is a special function because it has an x and a y parameter, right? And these are special, they're built in, and you might have guessed, but the X is the location that you clicked on the x-axis, and then Y contains the value of the location that you clicked on the y-axis. So using X and Y, we can determine exactly where the user clicked. We can determine if the user clicked on the rock. We can use it to determine if they clicked on the paper, and we can use it to determine if they clicked on the scissors. So how do we determine that? Well, we need to use an if statement. And so this is the way it's going to look. The first part of the branch is if. The second part of the branch is elif, right? That's a shortcut for else if. And then the third part of the branch is else if. Okay. And you'll notice that first I check the x-axis to make sure that it's where my rock is in between these two values, right? So that it's greater than negative 180. I guess it might make a little bit more sense if I did something like this. Okay, so it's greater than negative 180, which is on the far left side, and then it is less than negative 100, which is a little bit off center on the screen. And so you might need to just kind of guess around at first at these numbers, but let me go ahead and play this. And we want to understand that right down the middle of our screen is the the y-axis, and the top of the screen is 300, the bottom is negative 300, and the middle right here is 0. And on the x-axis, it's the same thing. It's negative 300, positive 300, and 0 at the middle. So the area that we want to check if we clicked is right here. Okay, so first checking on the x-axis, we got to check if we've clicked between this location and this location, right? And that's why I put negative 180. It's probably more, right? But let's just start with negative 180 and then a negative 100. I just kind of guessed it. I'm not sure if that's right. And then the second if inside of the first if checks the y position. Okay. And now here I'm checking if it's greater than, again, this should probably be switched around. So let me do negative 180. This doesn't matter like logically, but just looking at it, it makes more sense. So we want to make sure that the y is greater than negative 180 and less than negative 40. So in between these two values. And if that's true, if this x is true and the y is true, it's going to print out rock. Okay, and so I didn't really, set up the paper or the scissor values yet. I'm going to let you do that, but I'm going to just show you how I test this function choose. So let me go ahead and restart my program. So it draws my screen, and you can see how it drew everything really quickly, right? Yours might take more time. How I got my turtle to draw very quickly was right here. Right after I made my turtle, I said turtle.speed 1000. That made sure that whatever my turtle draws, it draws it extremely fast. And so now what I can do to test my choose function is I can click on the screen. So I'm clicking here, and nothing is happening here, right? Nothing is being printed out. So I know that I'm not within these two values on the x-axis, and I'm not between these two values on the y-axis. But once I get closer to the rock, you see that? Now it's printing out rock. So if these two conditions are true, it'll print out rock. But you can see I'm off. It's not correct, because if I take a look here, I'm going to click right here, and it's not printing anything out, right? So I need to adjust my x-axis, right? Let's see, when am I going to start to, okay, so right here is negative 180. So I want to extend that to probably negative 250, okay? So I'm going to come over here and say negative 250, and then let me go ahead and run it again. Let's get rid of that. All right, let's test it out here. I'm going to put it over here. I'm clicking. Okay, so now it clicks. This is negative 250. So let's go ahead and, well, let me test that again. Okay, so right here is negative 250. So I probably want to make it even more. So I want to make it negative, I don't know, maybe I could do negative 300. So I click, okay, so there we go. That's pretty much dead on, right? Or maybe I can go even a little bit more. So I guess my idea of the coordinates, I guess it's 400, negative 400 by 400. That's what it looks like. So let me go ahead and start clicking. Okay, so it looks like I'm a little bit off, so it's too much. So I'm going to do just 310. And then now I'm going to test the other side of the x-axis. So I'm going to come over here and just start clicking to make sure I'm on there. Am I on? Okay, so right here is negative 100. I think that's pretty good, right? So from here to here, I'm good. And now I'm going to test my y-axis. So I'm going to start up here and start clicking. Okay, so here would be negative 40. But I want it to be more closer to here, right? So I'm going to change my negative 40 to negative 10. So add 30 spaces. Let me go ahead and test that. Now I'm going to click. Okay, so that's dead on. That's pretty much perfect, right? And now I'm going to test the bottom end of my y-axis. I'm going to click. Okay, so that's pretty much dead on. So now that I've tested out my x-axis, make sure that those are the right range of numbers, and I tested out the y-axis, make sure those are the right range of numbers, it's going to print rock if I am clicking on the rock, right? So now you can see I can click even on the edges of the rock and it will still print out rock. So what I want you to do is go ahead and build this, right? And to review, in your main function, you're going to add the screen on click. Make sure this is the name of the function that you want to run, and then add the turtle.done. Erase the screen.exit on click. We don't want that anymore. Then above main, we're going to add a choose function, and you're going to make sure you have your X and your Y arguments, your parameters here, because this is the X um, location of the click that you clicked on the screen. This is the Y location of the click that you clicked on the screen. And then we're going to have this branch statement here. The first branch statement is testing whether you clicked on the rock. First, it's testing on the x-axis, and then it's testing on the y-axis. And we're going to do the same thing for paper, the same thing for scissors, and test it to make sure that it prints out rock at the right time, and it prints out paper at the right locations that you click on, and it prints out scissors at the right locations that you click on. And once you get that done, we can begin working on determining who's the winner.